We are live, and it's pretty orange. Out, but my camera's pretty. Hang on a minute. I think everything's. Hello? Hello? Testing. I think that's pretty good. That's pretty good. All right, that's better. That is so much better. What is up, everyone? Coming back at you with another stream. And I know I said I would do shorter form content. I might post a video later tonight when Tucker does another episode tonight. Let's see. There's a lot going on in the world, and I only wanted to cover the Tucker, but there's so much this is going on in my area. So there's apparently a fire in Canada, and it's making its way down, and you even see this is someone who I don't like, who has TDS, Keith Olbermann. But you see, actually, hang on a minute. Look at that outside. Look at that. Look at that. Moving my laptop just so you can see outside. Anyway. Oh, if you haven't been following, so last night, Tucker Carlson, the great Tucker Carlson, released the first episode, and I initially wanted to play this. Actually, it was a Zero Hedge article. Usually I just wait, but let's get actually into this. Okay. There's a Streamlabs link in the chat. Here it is if you want to donate at some point. But let's actually. So this is Zero Hedge, Tyler Durden. So this is actually posted this morning. Oh, because I was looking at this, it has a lot more views. Like the Tucker clip has 81 million. That's a legitimate 81 million. Those votes Joe Biden got, however, there were probably, unfortunately, a lot of really dumb people. There's some smart people, but a lot of really dumb people who voted for Biden. People only vote on emotions these days, including men, because men are becoming feminized. But that's a topic for another time. So let's get back to this. So Tucker unveiled episode 1 of his Tucker on Twitter adventure, which gained 10 million views in just over 2 hours. And the topic du jour is simple: government propaganda and the lying liars that spew it. Sounds like Gerald Salente is talking. All right. But his jumping off point was the Kharkova, and I'm going to get this up because I meant to cover the you've probably seen the footage of the Kharkova Dam. Many people have covered it already. I don't think that's something So he talked about the Kharkova Dam bombing by Putin himself, if you believe the Western media, because he is evil and evil people do evil things, even to themselves, despite the detailed explanation below of why that is simply farcical. By the way, it goes on to, so the Kharkova Dam was actually built in the 50s, according to this, by the USSR. And it's so Europe's largest nuclear power. So it was built around the Zaporozhye nuclear power plant, the largest power plant in nuclear power plant in Europe, and near the Crimean Peninsula's they receive the Crimean Peninsula's water from the reserve. I'm jumping all over this. Oh. Hey, I think I know who that is. That's a friend of mine. So we're going to talk. So he talked about the Russia-Ukraine. There's right. Welcome back. But I think one of the more interesting things that Tucker got into is the UFOs, and we're going to pull that clip up let's pull that clip up on YouTube, not YouTube.
For example, a former Air Force officer who worked for years in military intelligence came forward as a whistleblower to reveal that the U.S. government has physical evidence of crashed non-human-made aircraft, as well as the bodies of the pilots who flew those aircraft. The Pentagon has spent decades studying these otherworldly remains in order to build more technologically advanced weapon systems. Okay, that's what the former intel officer revealed. Then it was clear he was telling the truth. In other words, UFOs are actually real, and apparently so is extraterrestrial life. Now we know. In a normal country, this news would qualify as a bombshell, the story of the millennium. But in our country, it doesn't. The whistleblower's account ran on a technology website called The Debrief, which you've probably never heard of. The Washington Post had that story, but decided not to run it. The New York Times, meanwhile, just pretended it never happened. On the front page of the New York Times website this morning, there were 5 stories about Ukraine, as well as 4 stories apiece about Donald Trump, trans people, and climate change, the usual lineup. There was nothing at all about how an alien species is flying hypersonic aircraft over our cities. Not one word. So if you're wondering why our country seems so dysfunctional, this is a big part of the reason. Nobody knows what's happening. A small group of people control access to all relevant information, and the rest of us don't know. We're allowed to yap all we want about racism, but go ahead and talk about something that really matters and see what happens. If you keep it up, they'll make you be quiet. Trust us. That's how they maintain control.
And so the UFO thing, so he's partially right. However, it should be noted that, and let me actually get a clip. I was watching The Dive with Jackson Hinkle last night, and he was actually talking about how, so some of these UFOs, and this actually is admit a lot of the UFOs back in the 50s, especially the triangular shape one. And let me get an image of something up. So if you're familiar with let's see. There. The German Horton, if you're familiar with this, it was a prototype Nazi jet. It was a multi-role combat aircraft. It could be a fighter and it could be a bomber. And the story, I remember watching a Smithsonian long time ago because they always had those really interesting World War II documentaries, like about either the U-boats, they had the Atlantic War, or they would have stuff like this. So apparently Allied forces in Germany in 1945, they found this prototype and it was classified. And so coincidentally, around the 1950s, there was a whole boatload of triangular shaped UFO sightings. And I'm going to pull up some stuff. And there's still been those triangular shape one. There was obviously back in the 90s, there was the Phoenix Lights, which is still very unexplainable. I think that could actually be aliens, but I don't. But a lot of the other triangular shaped UFO that you normally see were actually of government, and this is what eventually came out, the B-2 Spirit bomber. So, and a lot of them, Jackson Hinkle actually played a really good video of UFO sightings from 1906. So, 14. I just want you to this is going to be really interesting. All right. Sure, this has been said. So we have the Roswell incident, and oh, look at that. Suddenly they blow up. Suddenly, after Roswell, which was probably a real. I actually had a friend in high school who said that his grandma or a family member actually worked for AT&T, and they used craft from the Roswell crash. So you can give your thoughts on that, but it's very small. Hang on, let me get an actual better video. Oh, if there is one, I don't think there is, but notice how the United States, and you see in Western Europe, particularly the UK, notice how the United States of America, and it's really like, look at this. Isn't it kind of suspicious? Like, you do see a lot in Australia, India, Japan over here, Netherlands, and Belgium. So this looks like Flanders, Puerto Rico, but you particularly see them in these parts of the United States and most of Britain. This main island is called Britain. That's why it's called the United Kingdom of Great Britain. Northern Ireland because, but that's another tangent I went off of. So, and I'm going to, you find it kind of interesting, and I'm not denying that all UFOs are of extraterrestrial, but, and this is actually from the Daily Mail. This is that whistleblower Tucker was talking about. So military whistleblower says U.S. has recovered dead pilots from craft of non-human origin, and that world powers are involved in an arms race to reverse engineer. Why don't we pick apart? So David Charles Gorsuch made these claims in a series of interviews this week. The former intelligence officer filed a whistleblower complaint in Congress. Says the U.S. has recovered numerous craft and dead pilots of non-human origin. So, to be fair, I do believe that there are actual UFO sightings and are not just misidentified government super tech craft. However, I do think that there's a very sophisticated, and not to get tinfoil hat, I think there's a sophisticated plan. And if you know Dwight D. Eisenhower, one of my favorite presidents, warmed of the military industrial complex around 1961, it was his farewell address. It was several days before Kennedy took the oath of office. So Eisenhower warned of the military industrial complex, and actually Jackson Hink. Well, let me actually see if I'm not sure if he's even uploaded it yet. So he hasn't uploaded it. I don't think he's uploaded it yet. But he said that from his knowledge, a lot of these UFO. So a lot of the time, it's meant to boost the military industrial complex, and it would be a good excuse. You have these other worldly or other country craft. They're not even so. In the 50s, it was not. They're not Soviet. Now they're either Russian, Chinese, or maybe they're the aliens. Maybe they're the Martians. And we don't know what they're going to do. So we need to ramp up our defense. Meanwhile, it's the military-industrial complex doing it itself. So you can see how that is. You can see how that would be done. So continuing. So David Charles, he made the extraordinary claims in media interviews this week after filing a whistleblower complaint, providing what he calls classified proof to Congress and the Intelligence Community Inspector General. So, and this is, I guess, so Gorsuch 36 said that in addition to recovering partial intact extraterrestrial craft for decades, the U.S. government has also retrieved remains of alien pilots. My problem is that he said that he's like one of the first whistleblowers. Either he or it was this article. Let me see. Well, it might be in a different article because I don't think I see. So let's watch this video.
If you're telling us the truth, everyone, the entire American public, has been lied to for decades.
Yeah, there's a sophisticated disinformation campaign targeting the U.S. populace, which is extremely unethical and immoral.
You are
He is
saying
right.
to the human race for the first time. an
Oh, so
official-
is this interviewer? So he's not the first one, because then you're discrediting all the other people like Betty and Barney Hill, who something did happen to them. If you've heard the audio tapes and you've seen the recreation of Betty and Barney Hill, that's our James Earl Jones, actually. And that was based off of something, and that was just based off of what actually happened. There's clearly something that happened. I have listened to the tapes before. Betty and something did happen to Betty and Barney Hill. What it was, only God knows.
intelligence representative at a high level from the US government is saying publicly, we are not alone.
We're definitely not alone. Absolutely, the data points empirically that we're not alone. Yeah.
Do we have bodies? Do we have species of
Well,
non-human?
naturally, when you recover something that's either landed or crashed, sometimes you encounter dead pilots. And believe it or not, as fantastical as that sounds, it's true.
I don't know. What do you think? You can type down there and I might read. So we got this. Gorsuch is a member of the Pentagon's Unidentified Aerial Phenomena UAP task force, which was tasked with investigating UFOs and has since reorganized into the All Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, the AARO, to include investigations of objects operating underwater. That's another thing. I remember History Channel used to have those UFO and USO documentaries, and remember one of them I watched, they were talking about how there is a very vast network of underwater tunnels and underground tunnels stretching from like the Caribbean to Egypt to Japan. So, citing witness statements from numerous current and former intelligence officials, Gorsuch claimed that the key information about recovered non-human aircraft was withheld from the UAP task force during his tenure. I thought it was totally nuts, and I thought I was at first I was being deceived. It was a ruse, Gorsuch told News Nation. People started to confide in me, approach me. I have plenty of senior former intelligence officers who came to me, many of which I knew almost my whole career, that confided in me and in that they were part of a program. He says that he learned of a secret U.S. program attempting to reverse engineer alien technology, which was not disclosed to the task force members. These are retrieving non-human origin technical vehicles, called spacecraft, if you will, non-human exotic origin vehicles that have either landed or crashed, Gorsuch said. Gorsuch says he has never seen photos of the alleged recovered craft, but he has spoken extensively with others who have. Again, I have a connection because one of my friend, I don't want to say his name, he's actually currently in the army. But his grandma actually, I already mentioned this, his grandma worked on tech from the Roswell crash allegedly. She worked with AT&T, and allegedly AT&T I'm getting at was using the government had given AT&T some of the technology. I guess the government, the Army, the Air Force. In a statement to dailymail.com on Tuesday, the Department of Defense and Sue Gao said to date, AARO has not discovered any verifiable information to substantiate claims that any programs regarding the possession or reverse engineering of extraterrestrial materials has ever existed in the past or currently exists. She added that the task force has established a process for individuals to come forward to aid in congressionally mandated historical review, which AARO is due to provide Congress by June of 2024. So around this time next year. So that should be big. AARO is committed to the data and its investigation wherever it leads, said Gorsuch. So here's and black triangular shaped UFO with red lights seen hovering in the sky at Camp Wilson in California back on April 20th, 2021. Notice the triangular shape. Pentagon recently showed the Senate mysterious flying orbs spotted by Reaper drone over an active combat zone in Middle East. This is an
You'll see it come through the top of the screen. There it goes. And then the camera will slew to follow it. You'll see it pop in and out of the field of view there. This is essentially all of the data we have associated with this event from some years ago.
Honestly, that reminds me a lot of the orb from A New Hope that Vader uses to extract the information out of Leia with. That's what I'm getting at. Let's see. You can read the rest of it, but I want to get more into this UFO. So we're going to go and see. Oh, this might be funny. Let's have a little laugh, shall we? Hey, so the alien show. I was like, are you not shocked? Man, I got a lot going on lately. That is a great meme on Twitter. This is Blade Revolution. So this is actually I think this is a rebuttal. Someone's trying to rebuttal. Let's actually see this.
Bell is an investigative journalist who helped obtain and release the DoD footage of UFOs and made contact with this DoD whistleblower as far back as 14 months ago. So you're vouching for this guy.
Well, we certainly know that Mr. Grush is who he says that he is, that he was in the position that he said that he was in, that he had the access that he said that he had. We know that for certain. And also we know that his colleagues and people around him find him to be a credible person, as do I. So now we're at the point where we have somebody making accusations, and these are accusations of a cover-up. This is accusations that we have been holding non-terrestrial materials and working on back engineering them. And if that is the case, it is our duty to have that investigated. And AARO, which is our government program, it is their duty now to investigate those claims to either verify them or call them false.
Why don't we see any photos of these spacecraft or these dead aliens, do you think?
Yeah, I want to see them too, right? That's the whole point.
Yeah.
Is we want to know. We don't want to think. We want to know. But this really does feel like an episode or that movie Don't Look Up. People have been saying for a long time that there are these reverse engineering of non-terrestrial craft, that this has been going on. We know for sure these things are operating in our skies. I think the big question is, who made them? Where are the manufacturing facilities for these? Where do they come from? Who's piloting them? And what do they want? And so these accusations by Mr. Grush, these really put a point right now on what the public wants to know. If there are holding facilities, open those doors. Tell the basic truth. Let us know.
Do you think the government would ever just say, oh, you know what? We've been lying to you for 70 years. We got aliens. We got dead aliens. Here they are. I mean, the country would never trust the government again. And plus, we'd all take the cash out of the banks and start buying weapons, right?
The best way to know the future is to look at the past. So you can be cynical in that way. However, we are living in a different era, in a different time with journalism and information flow. So I think it's not about the corrosion of secrecy, because that is a problem. I think this is more about UAP, which just means UFO, transparency. And I think you can earn back public trust if there was a good reason to keep certain aspects secret for so long, which is undoubtedly what all the evidence suggests.
All right, Jeremy, thanks for bringing the whistleblower forward. We really respect that. And
that was pretty interesting. So I just want to ask, what do you think of this? If there's anything you want to more you want to talk, because part of the, if you look at this, and I wasn't initially going to get to that. But a lot of interesting takes that some of these aliens are extra dimensional. That's a really interesting thing. Oh, so you want to get into this discussion? Let me actually pull this clip up from Benny Johnson, because he has a take. He has an interesting.
I believe that a lot of the UFO stuff is psyop, and they're trying to distract us. I don't know from what exactly. It's hard to really pinpoint. There are so many bad things happening simultaneously, but it's definitely a psyop. That's what I believe. Maybe UFOs are real, because I believe demons are real. I know for a fact that demons are real. So maybe those are what the aliens are. Not sure. What an interesting conversation. We should have some experts on to talk about it. Tucker Carlson is an expert in one singular thing, asking questions, being a journalist. A journalist is somebody, not like Caitlin Collins, Mr. President. That's not what a journalist does. Mr. President. Nope. Now, I believe that a lot.
So I think that's a really good take, and Fluffy Sheep, that's my friend's girlfriend's actually. She I think later on in the Discord server, so usually, what day? Today's Wednesdays. So I guess if everyone's available tonight, actually, we could have a discussion in our Discord, in your Discord server, in one of the chat rooms, just between us about UFOs. I think that would be very interesting to have later on. You just have to see if the rest of the boys are around. Because that's something I really want to. Let me actually. All right, we got lots about this is from Matt Walsh. So I haven't seen this book. I like what Matt Walsh says. Oh my God, his reaction to the scuttlebutt the other day. I'll play that after this.
If you don't know what we're starting.
But he's like, him and Michael Knowles from the Daily Wire are the only one. Like, I like Michael Knowles a little more than Matt Walsh. Maybe I like Candace Owens' time. But the person from the Daily Wire I don't like is Ben Shapiro. I think he's annoying.
5 headlines with today.
But he also gave a funny reaction to that Little Mermaid song that I'll play later for entertainment.
Who are not a real fan of this show. Why are we starting with it? Because it's big news. I mean, actually big, groundbreaking, should be earth-shattering news. A website called the Debrief has a report this week.
All right, if any of you have pen and paper, you might want to type this. You might want to write this name down, the Debrief, and see what it's. I've heard of it before. I'm not too familiar. Maybe that's for tomorrow's show. Maybe I can find a couple good things on the Debrief and we can go over them. Or I might just make a shorter video if that's what you guys want.
Actually, just came out yesterday with this headline: intelligence officials say U.S. has retrieved craft of non-human origin. Okay? Now, I want you to listen to this, and you're going to listen to it. So sit down and listen, all of you, damn it, and care about it. You listen to it and care, because this is important. Reading a little bit, it says, a former intelligence official turned whistleblower has given Congress and the intelligence community inspector general extensive classified information about deeply covert programs that he says possess retrieved, intact, and partially intact craft of non-human origin. The information, he says, has been illegally withheld from Congress, and he filed a complaint alleging that he suffered illegal retaliation for his confidential disclosures, reported here for the first time. Other intelligence officials, both active and retired, with knowledge of these programs through their work in various agencies, have independently provided similar corroborating information both on and off the record. The whistleblower, David Charles Grush, 36, a decorated former combat officer in Afghanistan, is a veteran of the National Geospatial Intelligence Agency and the National Reconnaissance Office. He served as the Reconnaissance Office's representative to the Unidentified Aerial Phenomena Task Force from 2019 to 2021. From late 2021 to July 2022, he was the NGA's co-lead for UAP analysis and its representatives to the task force. So this is a high-ranking person, and by the way, all of his credentials have been verified. So he's not just some Looney Tune making this up. The credential part we know for sure. So he was involved in these programs at the very top, privy to like the most classified kinds of information, and this is what he's now telling us. The task force was established to investigate what were once called unidentified flying objects, or UFOs, and are now officially called unidentified anomalous phenomena, or UAP. The task force was led by the Department of the Navy under the Office of the Undersecretary of Defense for Intelligence and Security. It has since been reorganized and expanded into the All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, or ARROW, to include investigations of objects operating underwater. Grush said the recoveries of partial fragments through and up to intact vehicles have been made for decades through present day by the government, its allies, and defense contractors. Analysis has determined that the objects retrieved are of exotic origin based on the vehicle morphologies and material science testing and the possession of unique atomic arrangements and radiological signatures. In filing his complaint, Grush is represented by a lawyer who served as the original Intelligence Community Inspector General. Grush says, we're not talking about prosaic origins or identities. The material includes intact and partially intact vehicles. Now, let's see, there's a lot to this report. And you can read the entire thing. In fact, you should go read the entire thing. A lot more to the story. But that's the really basic gist of it. And it's incredible. We have, and it goes on to explain.
This is a very long clip, so if you want to, it's on Twitter. It's from the Matt Walsh Show if you want to. But I'm actually going to, I think we need a little comedy here. Let me get this. Let me actually, because I think we're going to start closing out soon, but I want to have some fun.
One of the new numbers is a song performed by the Seagull character, voiced by a comedian who goes by the stage name Aquafina. Now, this song has gone viral over the past couple of days, but not for the reasons that Disney would prefer. I'm not going to make you listen to very long. I can only play a very short snippet of this. Anything longer will violate copyright laws, also probably the Geneva Convention. But here it is. Listen.
Hey, wake up, wake up, wake up!
What?
Hey, have you not heard that scuttlebutt?
Your butt.
No, the gossip, the buzz, the who said what, who does that, yeah, the scuttlebutt. Well, I was flying over land and sea and ear to the ground. Then I came flying here for you to see and hear what I found. Remember the swamp? Remember my song in the swamp? And I was like, wham, chicka, wham, wham, chicka, wham, wham.
I remember.
Well, ever since, the what's his name, the guy with the hair in the shirt?
The Prince.
Yeah, the Prince
Sorry that
has been dropping his.
You listen to that.
Now, in some ways, this is an appropriate song for The Little Mermaid because listening to it makes me want to throw myself into the sea. Words cannot capture just how terrible it is. If I heard this song and then over the next 12 hours, my house burned down and I lost my job and I was diagnosed with a terminal illness, the song would still be the worst thing that happened to me that day. If I had a time machine, I would go back in time and kill the person who invented music before they could invent it, just to prevent this song from being made. It would be better to erase music from human history altogether than to allow this song to exist. This song, you know what it sounds like? It sounds like what might happen if you put a group of deaf schizophrenics into a room with a keyboard and a bunch of pots and pans and recorded the random noises that they produced. And what makes this so especially sinister is that little kids will watch this movie. And the intelligent children with good taste will hear that song and they will cry and they will turn to their parents and say, why is this happening, mommy? Please make the bad sounds go away. But the less discerning children might like the song. And then they'll spend the next 7 months listening to it on repeat as their parents slowly go insane. There will be parents who play this song in the car in order to satisfy their whiny kids, which will create extremely unsafe road conditions. I mean, texting while driving is dangerous. Driving under the influence is even more dangerous. But most dangerous of all is to subject yourself to psychological torture while trying to drive a minivan full of kids down the highway. That's what's going to happen now.
All right. I think that's pretty good. Place. So like the video, share, comment, subscribe, and I will see you later. Bye.
Ladies and gentlemen, our national anthem.